at the same time. My brother, my sister, oh Lord, God have mercy. Oh my God, have mercy. This is what it is, and I need you to come along and we'll deal with this quickly. My brother, my sister, can we look at this? Now, today, several years ago, African people put themselves on the map of history. And this is what is referred to as today in African history. My brother, my sister, today is the 6th day of March, 1957 is Ghana's Independence Day. But again, today, in 1857, 100 years before this country became independent, the Supreme Court of the United States of America ruled that 4 million Africans enslaved in the U.S. Were property, not human beings, and not citizens of the United States. The court ruled that an enslaved man, Dred Scott, could not sue for his freedom because as a black man, he had no rights in law. The decision incited greater anti-slavery activism and led to the American Civil War in 1861. That led to the end of slavery. America of all nations today, in 1857, said that Africans who were enslaved were not human beings. They were property like goats, sheep, and houses. And for that matter, they couldn't sue anybody. Dred Scott, who will be talking about? My brother, my sister, in the African history class one of these days, led to a huge anti-slavery demonstration. How did he lead that? This decision against him caused such a great furore amongst the people. Today in 1912, one of the most famous works of art from antiquity, a bust of Queen Nefertiti, was found by Egyptologists in El Amana, Egypt. The bust provided visual proof of Nefertiti's reputation as a timeless icon of female beauty. Today in 1955, Morocco's largest stadium was opened in Casablanca with a seating capacity of 30,000 people. Today in 1968, in Rhodesia, Zimbabwe, 3 rebels opposed to the white minority government were hanged despite the messy commuting of their sentences by British Queen Elizabeth, who was legally Rhodesia's head of state. Britain held that Rhodesia's 1965 unilateral declaration of independence was illegal, and the ruling junta had no authority to carry out executions, leading to international protests. The UN imposed sweeping sanctions against the Rhodesian government. Today in 1992, the transition from the oppression of apartheid to democracy proved a perilous time. About 11,000 South Africans had been killed in political violence since 1986 per report of the Black Sash Repression Monitoring Group. And today in 2013, Forbes named Nigerian business magnate Aliko Dangote Africa's most powerful man. For the first of 6 consecutive years, Forbes named him to his position again in 2024, 2014, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Aliko Dangote. Oh, yes. Today, my brother, my sister, we're talking about a gay person, LGBTQ. And it's going to be an interesting conversation. Yes, trust me. A very interesting conversation. Today we're talking about Marsha P. Johnson, whose photograph you see right here. Oh, Lord. It's going to be an interesting conversation. Yes, very interesting. Very interesting conversation. And I need you to come along. It's going to last only 2 minutes, but it's going to be very powerful. Oh yes, very, very powerful. Are you ready for the conversation today? If you are ready, let me see your hands, so I know that you are ready. Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm not seeing enough hands today. Are you ready? If you are ready, show your hands, please. Are you ready? Okay. If you are ready, okay, good. Now I can see enough hands. Today we're talking about Marsha P. Johnson, an LGBTQ activist and trans woman. Trans woman. Jesus. Marsha P. Johnson was born on the 24th day of August in 1945 and died on the 3rd day of July 1992 at the age of 46. My brother, my sister, Marsha P. Johnson was born Malcolm Michaels Jr. on the 24th day of August 1945 in Elizabeth, New Jersey. My brother, my sister, his father was Malcolm Michaels Sr., an assembly line worker at General Motors, and his mother was Alberta Michaels, née Alberta Claiborne. She was a housekeeper. He was raised alongside 6 siblings, and the family attended Mount Teman African Methodist Episcopal Church. My brother, my sister, he got married to Jesus, as he himself said, when he was only 16 years old, still in high school. Most of Johnson's family and friends referred to Johnson as Mickey, to distinguish from Johnson's father, something that continued until Johnson's death. He was simply called Mickey. Now, as a boy, all of a sudden he started wearing dresses at the age of 5. But he stopped because they started to harass him in the ghettos of New Jersey, the inner cities, that he was weird. So he stopped dressing like a woman. In a 1992 interview, he described being the young victim of rape. By the age of 13, he was raped by a 13-year-old boy at that age. And when he was raped, he was shocked. He was raped by a 13-year-old boy when he himself was a little boy. And he described the idea of being gay as some sort of a dream rather than something that seemed impossible, because after the rape from another boy, he felt it was nice. He felt that it was nice enough and he looked good enough for another man to want to penetrate him. My brother, my sister, then he remained sexually inactive after the rape. After the rape until he was 17. My brother, my sister, he lost interest in all women and decided that for a man to want to rape him, that meant that he looked like a woman. And therefore, he needed to start carrying himself out as a woman. So he started to speak with a slim voice. Hey, how are you? And then he also started to dress like a woman. He will pad things on his chest to make it look like he had breasts, or boobs, as they call them. My brother, my sister, in the ghetto, he couldn't carry himself as a gay man. So he continued to hide. He was unaware of the gay community. But he confided in his mother and told the mother that he didn't have any interest in women. He only had interest in men. And he felt that he was a woman and he wanted another man to continue penetrating him. Hallelujah. And the mother encouraged him to look for a billionaire homosexual man to be his or her husband. My brother, my sister. So, the mother having endorsed his character and his habit, he went out there to Edison High School, and over there, he decided to look for gay men, and he was looking around. He left home finally, and when he left home, he decided to still look for a gay man. He changed his name to Blakk Marsha, and then he decided to change his sexuality. Better still, he decided to become transgender, and he became a woman by surgery and whatever, his dressing and everything. This was what he did. My brother, my sister. He couldn't return to the ghettos where he grew up. He was a victim of abuse and riots. He changed his identity to that of a woman, and he continued to be like that. He joined the Gay Liberation Front, GLF, in September 1970 and was active in this organization. At the time, so many other men and women who saw themselves as gay, who were being harassed, she gave them, in fact, he or she gave them some form of protection. But why are we talking about Marsha P. Johnson in the African history class? Now, there were so many black men and women who were abused in the society. This person here who we are talking about, considering himself or herself as black, decided to give them shelter, find lawyers for them to fight their cases, having been a victim of riots and, in fact, prejudice himself or herself. My brother, my sister, this is the person we're talking about, Marsha P. Johnson. Now look at what happened now. This person went out there and became a symbol of protection for a lot of black people who were oppressed by the system. My brother, my sister, this was what happened. A lot of black people who found out in one way or the other that their human rights had been trampled upon, moved to this person, and the powerful person that this person was got lawyers who were gay, in fact doctors who were gay, to treat black people for free. My brother, my sister, those who were rejected from the schools for one reason or the other, he or she, Marsha P. Johnson, found a way of getting them back into school. But look at what happened. People were still angry with this person carrying himself as a woman and as gay. My brother, my sister, this person started to get sick. Marsha P. Johnson started to get sick. But it was not diagnosed exactly what it was. Marsha became fragile. My brother, my sister. But her friends said it was all because she was suicidal. She had been mashed up by the system. Nobody was ready to accept her back into the inner cities where she came from. He or she came from. She was rejected because of her gay activities. Her parents were, in fact, a subject of attacks. At the end of the day, she became, or he became, really, really, really traumatized. And her actions became suicidal. She was always thinking about committing suicide. Well, it happened. Shortly after the 1992 Gay Pride Parade, Johnson's body was discovered floating in the Hudson River. Police initially ruled the death as suicide, but Johnson's friends and other members of the local community insisted she was not suicidal and noted that the back of her head had a massive wound. Johnson's death occurred during a time when anti-gay violence was at a peak in New York City, including biased crime by police. Johnson was one of the activists who had been drawing attention to the issue, participating in marches and other activism to demand justice for victims and an inquiry into how to stop the violence. My brother, my sister. So the police decided to investigate. But nothing came out, and Johnson's body was cremated, and then there was a funeral at a local church where Johnson was very active, paying tithes as a gay person, and the pastor still took the tithes. He or she would be in church, in fact, every Sunday. Oh my God. So after the cremation, the ashes were thrown into the Hudson River, same place that the body was found. Police allowed 7th Avenue to be closed while Johnson's ashes were carried to the river. After the funeral, a series of demonstrations and marches to the police precinct took place, demanding justice for Johnson. My brother, my sister, nobody was ever picked up by the police. Yes, several people came forward to say that they had seen Johnson harassed by a group of thugs, and investigations went in there. It was said that she was also robbed, or he was also robbed. They said her death, or his death, was, homophobic. Then in December 2002, a police investigation resulted in the reclassification of Johnson's cause of death from suicide to undetermined. My brother, my sister, up till now, nobody has been convicted or even arrested for the death of Johnson. This person either committed suicide or was murdered, but police wrote that her death or his death was undetermined. We remember this person today for being kind to the black society in America and beyond. A lot of black people saw solace in this person called Marsha P. Johnson. Those rejected from schools, those who had nothing to eat, those who were homeless, they found a way of giving all of them solace and protection. This person was raped, and for that matter, it might have resulted in giving her some mental illness. But it was never ever determined. She became suicidal, which is also a mental illness problem. And at the end of the day, either she committed suicide or was killed. But police have documented it essentially that this person was actually, her death or his death was undetermined. Today we remember this person, Marsha P. Johnson.